Hey folks, this is Johnny. Welcome to another Studio One Snapshots. Now, this particular snapshot's going to be a little bit longer than just a snapshot. There was a couple of posts about automation and how to adjust it and everything, and what I thought I'd do is I would prepare a big in-depth look at automation. Now, this is just going to apply to tracks for virtual instruments and for audio tracks, and I will do a separate video for the automation options in the editor for MIDI. All right, so let's go right to the classroom. No more yapping. All right, so you can see here I've got a nice little list of all the things we're going to go through for this video. We're going to take a look at turning the snapping on and off, using the snapping for small adjustments. We're going to actually bend the center points, where you can actually slope between two adjustments. We're going to highlight multiple nodes, and then we're going to take a look at using the transform tool. All right, so to access the automation, here we are in the track. We're going to click on the little icon here. You can also hit the A key. And there we go. So you can see that there's really nothing selected. Now, some of the defaults that are available are the volume and the pan. So we're going to work on the pan we're going to work on the volume. And we're going to click on volume, and you can see it shows up in the window. Now, we haven't selected anything else right now. Now, we can actually click on points, click and create points throughout our track, even if the automation is turned off. So what we want to do, since we've actually selected volume, is let's go ahead before we turn anything on. Now, I showed you in the last video how to use a fader port and use those adjustments and make those happen. So for this one, we're just going to be strictly using a mouse. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to put a point here. I'm going to put a point here. Well, I'm having trouble today. And if you guys watch the fader, you guys can see what's going to happen as we move the cursor to these spots. There we go. We can move things left and right, up and down. You can see that they're snapping to the grid, which is kind of nice. All right, we can actually double click and create points in the center, and we can make adjustments like this. All right, so what I want to do, now that you've actually kind of seen a basic operation and actually creating automation points, let's go through our list here. So we can turn snapping off to free smooth adjustments. So you can see right now it's snapping. And if I turn the snapping off, now I'm actually free to put this wherever I want. I don't have to worry about the grid. I can take things like from here and move these down. And I can actually take this little guy here and move him down. So this makes it really easy to put the automation exactly where you want it. And you would base these movements on the waveform that you're actually adjusting. So if you see some peaks in the waveform, you would actually adjust them down, and so on and so forth. All right. So now the next one is to turn on snapping for the grid. And we just actually went through that. So here's the grid snapping. Just like that. The up and down is smooth, but the left and right is snapping to the grid. All right, so now the third one, to turn on snapping and hold the shift key. Now this is kind of cool. This is for really tiny adjustments. So if I take this node here and I move it up and down like this, you can see it moves pretty quick and it follows the mouse. If I hold shift, and you'll see me hit the button at the bottom, if I hold shift, you can see that the adjustments are a lot smaller. There's with shift, and here is without. Here's with shift, and here's without. So now, there is a trick to this too. If you want to be able to do the smaller adjustments while hitting shift left and right, you have to have the snapping turned on. I don't know why, because if I turn the snapping off and I hit shift, it still snaps to the grid. I don't know why this is. Now, my adjustments here are fine. These are like for fine adjustments, but it's still snapping to the grid. I'm not quite sure why it does that, but it does. So if I want the fine adjustments up and down and left and right and not snap to the grid, I have to turn the snapping on, hold shift, and there we go. So now I have a little bit more fine control. So this would be for really, really small adjustments. All right. So now the next thing is bending the center for slope adjustments. So if I hold my mouse in between any dots, you can see that they only show up when I hold my mouse there like that. So now I can actually bend and slope the center adjustments. If I hold shift, I can get finer adjustments for the sloping. Now, I don't have the ability to move left and right with these adjustments. At least I don't think so. Let me try Command key. Okay, Command key just resets it. Let me try Control. All right, so the position of the slope is dependent on the position of the two markers at each end. Just like that. And then I go here, just like that. So now if I put another marker here, I'm going to just click once, create a dot. And if I hold my mouse in the center, oh, is that too long? Oh, that might be too long. So if I go like this, and I adjust down. There we go. Well, this is actually giving me the ability to move around a little bit. So now if I go over here and I move up and down. Okay, not that one so much. Oh, this is actually an adjustment. It's not a slope. There we go. This is the slope. There we go. Just like that. All right, let's go to the next one. So now the other thing that we can do is we can highlight multiple nodes for larger adjustments. So if I just take the mouse and I stretch this way, I can take any of the highlighted nodes and move them over and move them all around my track. Just like that. Makes it really nice. Now, here's one of my favorites. For the using the transform. I'm going to actually move these nice and close here so that we can have a couple of crazy things here to adjust. All right, so now if I go up here and I click on this, it is the paint tool, but if you click on the paint tool, you have all of these other options. You can do square, triangle, saw, and so forth. Here is the transform option. So this is going to give me a nice wacky adjustment option. I can turn my automation up and down, or back and forth, or upside down. I can take the corners and I can twist it. This is for automation, guys. This is crazy. I can take the edges and I can squash and adjust and bend. This is very cool stuff, I think. And then I go back to the pointer, click anywhere in the outside, and I'm back to normal here. Just like that. Hey, let me try the transform tool. Let me try the transform tool and see if the shift option lets me make smaller adjustments. Okay, ready? Let's see. We got this here. So let me hit the shift key. No, the shift key doesn't work with the transform. No. Shift key does nothing. All right, but it's still cool. I can take this down here, and then I can take this guy up here, and I can totally twist him up. I can take this guy and really stretch it out. Take this guy and really... There we go. So you can get crazy creative with the transform tool and a lot of these adjustments that that are available to the actual track itself. And then once we actually go back here, we can choose read. You can see it's already set to read, and now my track is going to just do all the screwy things that I did with it. There you go. Let's make it more interesting. There we go. Whoa. My feeder port's going silly right now. And there you go. That pretty much does it. Now, I know this video was a little bit longer than just a snapshot, but I thought it was really important to go through these different points, just like this. All right, so the next video that I'm going to do, maybe within the next 2 videos, is I'm going to show the automation options for the MIDI editor, where you have your sustain pedal and things like that. So it should be interesting to see how the two actually have different options. I haven't played with it yet, but as soon as I do, I will put out that video, and I will see you guys later.